Welcome back, everyone. I'm Big Jim. Welcome to Big Jim's Kitchen. This channel is dedicated to showing you step-by-step instructions on how to make various recipes that I've learned over the years. Some easy, some not so easy, some healthy, some not so healthy. Today's recipe, if you haven't already read the thumbnail, we're going to be making some braised beef with noodles and some vegetables to go along with it. So, without further ado, let's get cooking. One thing I forgot to mention was a big thank you to Brad and Stacy Westcott for my new wireless microphone that I got for Christmas. Thank you very much. Used them in this video. I hope the audio quality is better. For today's recipe, we're going to need as follows. We're going to be using some nice chuck roast, some onion, some parsley sprigs with some thyme sprigs. Also going to plug some midlife crisis spices. Past your prime time. I want some salt, pepper, some garlic. For the noodles, we're going to be using some egg noodles. For the vegetables, we're going to, like I said, have an onion along with some carrots and some celery. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much carrots and celery because it depends on how big your Dutch oven is going to be. Talking about one of these puppies. You're going to want to make sure that you have just enough vegetables cut up so that when you put the meat in there and eventually the vegetables, it's not going to be too much. Or you can just cook everything in here, and then when it's time to add the noodles, transfer everything to a bigger pot. It's up to you. More ingredients, you're going to want to have some beef stock. I unfortunately only bought one beef stock, so I'm going to be using half this chicken stock as well, and also some red wine. Last but not least, going to need some olive oil when you are searing the beef. So, order of operations is going to go ahead and dice up all these vegetables. Then we're going to go ahead and salt and pepper both sides of the beef, followed by, we're going to sear the beef in the Dutch oven with a little bit of olive oil, sear it on both sides for a couple of minutes. Then we're going to remove that. Then we're going to go ahead and add the vegetables, cook it up until the onions are a bit translucent. Then we're going to go ahead and add the liquids to it, followed by tossing on the sprigs, then tossing the beef on there, and then tossing it into the oven at 350 for roughly 3 hours. Got the stove turned on with the Dutch oven on top. Let's get it warmed up and add a little bit of oil. One thing I noticed when I was about to start searing this was that the chuck roast was a little bit too big, so I had to cut it in half. We're gonna sear both sides, but in two different pieces. Now we're going to add some of the garlic and the rest of the vegetables. Now that the vegetables are mostly done, go ahead and add in the wine. stock. Top of this, we're going to toss in this. Now we're going to toss this in the oven at 350 for 3 hours. This has been braising for the last 3 hours, so what we're going to do now is remove the meat, the sprigs of the thyme, and the parsley. Then we're going to go ahead and pull apart the meat to shred it. And while that's happening, toss the noodles in here, start cooking them. Beef. Let this come back to a boil. I might add some more liquid to this if I need to, but we want these noodles to soak up as much of the liquid as possible. Now while the noodles are cooking, I'm going to try and take this apart. Seems like it's going to be relatively easy. I'm doing it inside this Tupperware container instead of on top of the cutting board, mostly so I don't lose any of the juices. All right, I'd say it's a good enough shred. Now we'll finish up boiling the noodles and then toss these in here at the very end. Our noodles have just about finished cooking, so go ahead and turn the heat off and toss the meat back in. And voila! We are now done. We'll give this a little bit of time to cool off and then we'll taste test. These noodles have cooled off enough so that I won't burn my mouth. So now let's do the taste test. But before I start chewing and I can't talk anymore, don't forget to like and subscribe. That is really good. The red wine, there's definitely something that you need to add to this because it definitely helps put flavor and the texture of everything is so good. See you next time.